Mother Hagens. Nice to see you.
Magazine style. Come on, spot in there to really like stand up.
Danny, long time no see.
This presentation is made for.
All right, so
If you want to do.
if I can have everybody's attention, thank you all so much for being here. Your room is set up that this makes it very difficult. My back, I promise, will be back or against somebody through this whole class. Plus, we have a group of Zoom people. So first of all, thank you all for being on Zoom and being a part of this. Michelle is going to monitor the chat room. So if you haven't met Michelle, she's our team leader here in the Park City office and organizes this class, this series. So I'm not going to worry about my Zoom people, and I apologize if my back is to you. I'm going to let Michelle tend that and let me know if somebody in your group, the Zoom group, has a question. Then she will help interrupt us and get that through. So feel free on Zoom, please, to use chat. Now, in our room here, our challenge is the best place for me to stand and not feel like I'm back against you all is to stand up here where the camera really can't see me. But I would like to make sure that the camera is hearing me. Are they hearing me?
Zoomers, can you hear us? Yes. Someone said yes.
Somebody said yes.
Brittany said yes.
Okay. All right, so wonderful. Well, glad to have y'all here. You'll notice, Park City, that I brought a lot of people from my Sugar House office up. I did that intentionally. I think we don't tend to be up in your neck of the woods working, and I don't notice you guys down in my neck of the world working. And I thought, what a great opportunity to be exchanging some business cards and maybe getting some new referral connections. So please be friendly to the people you don't know and get their card, okay? Just makes good business sense. Michelle asked me to repeat this class. We did it last year. We did one a month. This year, we're going to be doing this one a week for the month of March. And I have printed out, and there are enough, if you didn't get one, they're underneath the frame here, of what the class series is. I can pass some of these back to me. Here, for those who didn't get one. So I think today's class is on the visual listing presentation. The whole series will be on listing presentation. Next month or next week's class is on Thursday the 10th. And that will be from 12 to 1 again. And that will be my giving my actual listing presentation. Okay, so then you'll have that verbal presentation. The following week will be on a Wednesday. not a Thursday, a Wednesday. And that one I convinced my son Josh to come up and teach you how to find listings. We find a lot of them. And they don't come any better than my son Josh. And I say that honestly as a mom, but everybody in this room would tell you that that's the same and it's true as an agent. He's just remarkable. So that's one you don't want to miss. And then on the Thursday, the 24th of March, we will end the series with objection handling and presenting of paperwork. And I didn't think presenting of paperwork was a big deal till last year when I did this class in 4 of the market centers and realized that was one that they all went, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you did that, Mark. So I'm gonna turn my phone off. That wasn't my phone. And I'm going to give you my warning that I didn't do. And that is, if your phone goes off in this class, it's a $25 donation to KW Cares Park City. And if you answer the phone, so we all hope you do, it's $50. KW Cares Park City. So it's a 1-hour class. We can also drive without the phone for an hour. Okay, so I'm gonna be checking that myself. All right, questions on our schedule? Questions on our topics of the schedule?
Do we need to re-register for every week, or
Yeah.
if we're registered to be here when you show up? Oh,
Yep, as long as you show up at this time and date, it'll always be down in this room, okay? And quickly, I did ask Michelle today, and thankfully she is recording it. So for example, Liz has to miss one, she's out of town, so she can pick that one up, and it's fine giving my presentation, which is the one she really wanted. So she'll just do that by recording. So know that that's available to you also, okay? All right, so there's a saying, and that saying is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Why do you think there is that saying? This is where you have to speak up.
Humans are visual creatures. They're like,
Humans are visual creatures. Thank you, Nick. So 65% of the world's population is estimated to be a visual learner. And if that, you got the majority of people are visual learners, why on earth would we ever go on a presentation where we don't have a visual? That'd be true, by the way, on buyers or sellers of any kind. You want to have a visual. And so in this office, thanks to Michelle, truthfully, you guys lucked out. When I taught last year, Michelle jumped right on it and created a selling your home listing presentation. She actually used it based on one that Phoenix had done for himself. So I'm going to pass this around. I know new agents get one when they join, but it gives you an idea of a visual presentation. I brought you my visual presentation. Okay. And so I'm going to pass that around so you all can look at that. And then I also printed out this week the one that's on command. That is just one that works for the United States. Okay, not local at all. But there just is no reason to not have a visual kind of presentation. So I'm going to start you guys with those two. I'll start you guys with this, and then we'll just switch so you can see it. So unfortunately, all you Zoom people, you don't get to see any of this. You're SOL because you chose to stay in the safety of your home instead of joining us out here. Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm not happy.
No, I was gonna say, but if you come next month, I'll bring these back. I'll bring them each month so that you kind of look at them.
Next week?
Next week, thank you, next week. And I'll bring it each week so that you have plenty of time to kind of look at it. I'm gonna suggest that you do exactly what Phoenix is about to do. And that is, let's start making a list of what needs to be in our presentation. Okay, so how many in here have been in real estate less than a year? Okay, so probably close to half. And so I think for you all, the biggest challenge is I don't have the expertise. I don't have the proven numbers that, you know, others in this room have. And you feel like, gosh, then I can't compete. I will tell you that just the fact that you have a visual presentation makes you almost 80% more likely to take the listing because you came with the visual. An amazing difference. And by the way, they don't know how long you've been in or how short you've been in. Okay, they don't all know. Now, some of us like Mary Beth. Yes.
Yes.
How many years in the business?
6.
Okay, she's got a track record like nobody's business. Okay,
I don't know about that.
you do. Okay, Annie, how many years?
6.
6. You should meet each other. There's so much in common already. And again, a really great track record. But if you haven't been in long and you still want to talk about numbers. So what numbers would you want to talk about?
Office hours.
In that there. Tell us your name, stand up so everybody knows who you are.
Andrea, Amber. Your local market center, you can refer them kind of as your team.
Exactly. Use your market center's number, average sales price at the market center. Okay, average number of days at the market center. Average list to sell value of the market center. So you'll notice in mine, and I don't have the Park City one at all memorized. I have mine pretty well memorized. So in mine, for example, I always say, we run the numbers for last year, for 21, and we found that it was, I think, who's got my book right now? You do, yeah, about 4 pages in, right here. So the average realtor in the Salt Lake Valley netted their sellers last year 99% of asking price. That's a really great seller's market, right? For those who have been on a long time, that's a really great seller's market. But on the CERN team, we netted 102%. So I have a little graph that illustrates that. Okay, you can do, as Andrea said, the same thing. You could do it based on the office versus the MLS. Those numbers are all available on the MLS to pull off. You have to do a little bit of calculating, but it's not hard to do. Why would I want to know that number? Because when I go to Caroline's house to list her house, you know, I can say to Caroline, truthfully, Caroline, I'm free. Because I'm on average netting my clients 3% or more than what you're asking versus anybody else. I'm free. But if I don't have those numbers, they don't know that. How many of you had somebody who said, you know, will you do it for less commission?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm free. It's pretty hard to compete with somebody who's free. Okay. What other numbers are we going to want to know?
I guess your track record to list is sold.
List is sold, and in this market, virtually everything is selling. So right now in this market, Shane, that probably isn't one I need a graph for anybody, whether I'm a agent who does 2 deals a year or I'm an agent who does 100 deals a year. They're pretty much all selling. Okay. In other markets, we were in a buyer's market, that would absolutely be a number, and I've often had that number.
Well, there's still some discounted agencies out there that don't sell their homes. So like Home Lead, so.
That may or may not be, but if I look on the MLS and I look at what's expired, it's pretty near nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have to talk about that one in this particular market. You're welcome to, Liz.
I think it would be interesting to pull your fill rate. Like how many of your deals fill more than once? Because that's what I'm seeing a lot, is it's really tough. And I'm like, how are any deals failing with how competitive the offers are on the buy side? So I think it'd be interesting to be like, of, you know, 100 listings, only 2 of them fell on the first buyer.
Okay, fail rates. What else would you use?
How quick you can close?
Say it again.
How quick you can close?
Days on market.
Days on Market? Yeah, Days on Market, and I think I've got Days on Market on there. And again, that's a little less important right now because we're in a seller's market. So honestly, all of them are selling, so whether it takes 9 days or 12, I don't know that they're, hugely important about or care about that. What else? How many websites are you on?
2,200.
2,200? Okay. Might that be important? When we're talking about marketing, that you leave no stone unturned, that you don't know which website they're coming from, but you can be pretty darn sure it's gonna be from a website. So you're on 2,200 versus 5 or 10? I think that's an important one. All right. What other numbers? I talk about what my marketing budget was. Just so you know, nationwide, the average realtor spends $5,000 a year, just under that, in marketing for a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah, my marketing bill last year was 450 some thousand. Lizzie's got it.
454, 327.
Thank you. That was my marketing bill last year.
Wow.
So I can just plumb out market the other guys. Do you think a seller likes that? And it's interesting to me because when I asked you how often they talk to you about, will you do it for less? Commission, I don't get that question hardly ever. Mainly because they say I spent 450,
4,000.
thank you, 454,000, sorry, we just switched over to the 21 numbers. I'm used to my 2000 or 2020 numbers. So they know that I'm spending the money, investing the money to get their property sold, to get them top dollar. So you all could look at what the average realtor at that average of 5,000, just under 5,000 is an average, no matter whether you're Park City, Sugar House, Midvale, it doesn't matter which market center you're in. That average is still just under 5,000. So you guys can take what you guys do and go, okay, a lot more, Annie.
I mean, that average has to be per individual agent, right? So your $450,000 is for the Stern team.
It is for the Stern team.
And
yes.
so how does somebody who's an individual agent, like even, I feel like for an individual agent that I'm not gonna advertise that number because if I'm up against one of you guys
Okay,
and like these guys spend $450,000 on marketing, I go, it's a seller's market, you don't need to do that. It doesn't seem like, and also like, I'm just never gonna spend that amount of money. with
you
this
maybe don't, no, true, Annie, you maybe don't. I don't think you and I have ever been against each other in a listing presentation. I don't, so sometimes we think those will happen and it just rarely does. But I will tell you that as I talk to sellers, a lot of their concern is, I'm gonna pay a lot of money, what am I gonna get for that money? And so if you don't wanna talk about the dollar amount, then maybe you talk about, come here, name again. Oh, Tom, thank you. Maybe you talk about Tom's situation of I'm on 2,200, or I'm on 5,000 websites, or I'm on whatever. Okay, maybe you go that route. Andrea,
I just have a question on that and the 2,200 websites. Are we different than other brokerages? I mean, aren't they all on the same?
some of them are, some of them are not. Your national name brand people are more likely to be in a similar situation. But again, when I'm doing a presentation like the $5,000 for marketing, I'm using a national average. Well, a national average takes into account all of the mom and pop brokers. And how many are they on? 100 on a good day. Okay, so again, you may want to do it that way. But truthfully, if your average is say 10,000, you're still double what the average is. Now, all the things we're talking about are things that, as Annie said, you don't have to put all these in. I just want you to think about what things do you put in? How do you make yourself stand out from the rest of the crowd? Okay. Now, how many of you in your presentation have your marketing plan? What you're planning on doing for a house? Okay. And how many of you know how many things are on your marketing plan? How many different are there? I think if I go to the and maybe Shane, you can check and see how many are in mine. I don't know how many. 25 items, okay. I know in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the red book, I believe the number is 17 or 18. That was where we started. We just said, what are the things in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? The marketing plan, and we just made sure that we addressed those things. We've then added some of those to that. Okay? So you want to talk about marketing because if they're going to pay you the big bucks, and in Salt Lake, our average sales price is about 525,000. In Park City, your average sales price in this market center is 1.5.
No, higher. Well, here, yes, but up there, yes, higher.
Okay, but it's an average, there's an average,
Yeah.
and so it's a lot more than ours. And again, if they're gonna spend, let's say, 150,000 in commission dollars. They really wanna be sure that you've done something to earn that money, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay, so having that marketing plan in there is important. Now, we're in a seller's market. Caroline, do we end up having to do all 20 things?
I do all 20 things.
Do you do? Because half
Because
the
it's
time
my
they.
brand, and so
Okay.
I want everyone to see, I don't care if I'm listing your $400,000 condo or your $10 million property, you're gonna get the same level of service.
Yes, and I agree with that. I've had agents say to me, you know, I take my own photos on my small houses, and on my big houses, I get professional photos, and I'm like, holy cow. I cannot, I mean, that to me is substandard. I think you get professional photos and everything. What I was thinking about as I asked that question, Caroline, is our houses are selling so quickly that there are times that I don't get to do all 20 things. I do 3 things and the darn thing's under contract with multiple offers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you still want to put them in there. Now, the interesting part too is when you do your presentation, how bored do you think a seller is going to be if I now cover 25 items? Really bored. So you'll see next week when I do my presentation that depending on the person I'm sitting across from and our initial consultation, there are going to be some things that are important to Annie that are different from Hannah's concerns, that are different from Adam's or Marcelo's concerns. And so really, each one will be personalized, but the visual, you want to have all of it. You want to be prepared because if they ask you a question, bam, we can pull it up and see it. Good point. All right. Anything else that needs to be in there? Can we trade? Are we at the point where we can trade books?
No.
Not yet? Okay. Is this side all done? All right. You all let me know when you get done, then we'll look at doing the trade. What else needs to be in there?
I think some testimonials are nice, or some human connection.
I think testimonials, third-party endorsements are honestly the best recommend you can get. And that's not just in your presentation, because nowadays, you know, I wasn't kidding when I said, Tom, they're all gonna find us on a website.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the first thing they're gonna do? Google you. I just heard somebody say it under their breath. Yeah, okay, they're gonna Google you. So how many reviews do you have in Google for you right now?
2.
26.
27.
26.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
Other numbers from here? Numbers over here in Google. How many reviews do you have?
I just got my first one 2 days ago.
There you go. Way to go. Okay, good job, Marcel. Okay, anybody else? You don't know how many you have, or you have none? Oh my gosh, Phoenix. Okay, hold on a second.
What was the we're talking about?
You all know that Phoenix has no reviews on Google. Just want to put that out to everybody.
She's on the camera.
Everybody.
Okay, so on reviews, I have a handful of reviews, but I didn't know what site to steer them towards. So I have like some on Zillow, some on Realtor.com. I don't think I've done Google yet. Would you suggest just funneling them all to Google?
Yeah, I don't know that you can funnel reviews, so there are times.
Meaning when you ask them for a review, where do you ask them to go?
We typically ask them to go to Google. Some of my clients, because they're older than dirt, because they're my age, they don't even have Google, seriously. So then I'm going to have them do Facebook or other places. So something that they do have. But I think when Nick said it under his breath, Google, I do think that is where most people go. Okay, we have some on Yelp.
I don't really want to say this in front of a room full of realtors, but
Like,
I've been like really hitting the Google reviews hard with my old clients, and like me, just little individual agent realtor, I'm like number 12 on Google. So I've had 2 clients now, people just Googling Realtor Salt Lake City and coming up with my name. I'm like, how did you find me? They're like, Google.
Yeah.
It's like, that's amazing. I don't pay anything.
Yeah, we have over
Marketing budget is
$1,000.
not $10,000.
Yeah, we have over 1,000 on the Stern team, reviews, 5-star reviews. And we've been very purposeful about getting that, and we get a lot of business strangers who have just Googled. So again, third-party endorsements, as Adam said, not only look good in your presentation, but they need to be a focus for you on your internet, Mark.
What about newer agents that you don't have past clients?
Okay, great question. So Mark is new, doesn't have past clients. Where might he get some reviews?
Friends and family?
Friends and family, absolutely.
Coworkers?
People he's worked with.
People he worked with in the past in another industry.
What are you doing to be purposeful on getting those reviews?
Okay.
You do that in the listing presentation and then, you know, as it goes along, and then you go ahead and give it to them? Oh, is that, okay, that's how you do it, all right.
And then at the closing,
Yeah.
and then for 5 times after the closing? Yes,
Okay,
You have to remind people so hard.
I know.
so hard.
And I'm assuming that you have to call them and be like, hey, remember that review that you were supposed to give me? I have not seen it come through. Is that what you do?
Well, I do call and say, oh my gosh, I noticed the review didn't come through. Did you have trouble on Google? Do I need to help you?
Okay.
Okay,
This is
Now,
sound-
go ahead. Anna.
Sorry, can I get
No,
one more?
You may.
So I have heard of people, I haven't done this, but I've heard of people making an email address for an assistant. And then you can email as that assistant and be like, hey, I heard you had a great experience with, you know, your realtor. Can you please file the school review? So that way it's not coming from you, it's coming from like the assistant. So
It is my
doesn't feel
assistant
so
who's-
embarrassing.
My assistant is doing the 5 follow-ups after closing. Prior to that, it's me doing them, and the listing on the good news calls at the closing table. Okay, so it's a combination, absolutely, it's a combination of those. Google has some new rules, so you can't group it all. I mean, you can't go out and Tom can't have a party and have everybody review them at one time. You can, if you reviewed them once, they've got your phone number, so now you gotta use your spouse's phone if you wanna do another review. There are just some Google has tightened up a little. But what I'm saying is besides all that, you just need to be focused on getting those because you need them for your presentation and you need them for leads and websites. So Mark, friends and family, past people that you worked with, et cetera, and whatever other jobs you all had. You had coworkers, clients, friends, have them write a review. And the review doesn't just stop with that. So this week I've had to send to one of my clients reached out. He needs somebody to help him with a remodel. So I've sent him that. Now I'll call Tom and say, hey, Tom, do me a favor, give your review on Google that tells everybody you love my being a phone call away when you need a remodeler, an electrician, or a plumber, or a whatever. Okay, so I've had that one, and then I've had they needed my granite guy on a different house. And then I had another client who just needed my electrician on a different house. Ultimately, I want to be that person that they call for anything regarding their home. But these are all opportunities for me to say, hey, we're having a drive for reviews right now, and I'm wondering if you take a minute and do a review. Don't tell me my electrician was wonderful. Tell me it was so nice to just make one phone call or one text and know that you get an answer from me. Okay? I will, for a lot of my older clients, like I closed on one yesterday, I had the son in California writing the review. because my client would not go on Google. I don't think she probably has it. May not know what it is. Okay, so if you're in a younger crowd, it's a much easier. If you're in an older crowd, it's harder. Okay, so third party endorsements. Yes.
Third party, I think it's important for all of us, just my opinion. Leave reviews for each other, professional reviews. I get a ton of reviews from agents on the other side, how great it was, how well I protect my clients, so on and so forth. So industry reviews are great. And Google presence is a great part of your 30-second elevator pitch too. Hey, I'm easy to find. Google me.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah, that's very easy.
So
Yeah, I just did one for Lisa Woodbury at Berkshire Hathaway last week. She and I did a transaction we closed last week. And I called her up and said, Lisa, again, you are just stunning to work with. I want to write your review. What is a favorite place you'd like me to write?
Yeah.
And she thought that was so nice. But again, if I'm trying to have a relationship with these other agents and I'm writing an offer and I want mine accepted, are they going to accept mine?
yeah.
All day long, guys. Think about this as a long-term picture,
No.
okay? I think you need to, and they've got one over here that we need to bring over there.
No, we don't have anything.
Yeah, you do. It's not quite done, I get it. There'll be one more coming over here. I also think you should talk about Keller Williams, whether you're new or you're not new. It's the #1 real estate company in the world. And you're crazy if you don't talk about that. How much of our buyer pool in Park City comes from outside of Utah?
A lot.
Holy cow, a lot, right? And in Salt Lake, it's 25%. So we want to make sure that we have referring partners and good relationships with people in other parts of the country. I had Jeanette called me last week. She texted me actually and said, who do you have in North Carolina? Because I've been around so long that I probably have a friend in every state or more than one. And so I always know who you should call for a referral. Okay, now you can go to the white pages at KW and find a great one. And typically when I do that, if I don't know somebody in that particular location of South Carolina, I'm gonna call the team leader, Michelle, and I'm gonna say, Michelle, I need a great listing agent. I would love to have one that's on your ALC, because that means they've been around for a while and are doing it at a high level. And somebody who specializes in this price point or this area. And I'll let my team leader, if I don't know somebody, I'll let them guide me to somebody. And I'll always interview them before I turn them over to my client. Okay? So side note on that, but that is what I do. All right, what else needs to go in there? Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, what kind of questions do you ask them when you're interviewing?
I ask them if they're familiar with this particular area. I'll ask them, are they a part of a team or are they going to be servicing themselves? If they're part of a team, and I have no problem with that, obviously, because I'm on a very large team. But if they're going to be on Caroline's team, and it's not going to be Caroline, I really want to talk to the person who is going to be. My clients and I are really tight. And so I know their personalities. And so it's going to be more about their personalities if it's going to be a match than it is most anything else. Okay? All right. And for those of you who've been in the business for a while, you get to write about yourself in your presentation. But for my newbies who have not been in business for a while, honestly, they're not going to ask you anything about yourself. They don't care. Thank you. That's exactly right. They really don't care. Okay.
Well, when I first started out, I used my sales skills from my previous jobs to put in there as well. So, I mean, that's what I used when I first started.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Okay. So everybody has an idea of what they're going to put in their presentation. And I want to go through this because next week when you show up in this class, you're going to show up with a copy of your presentation. And we're going to trade them off and let other people critique your presentation. Okay?
You're gonna have half the audience here next week.
Well, and that may be the case, but next week is where you hear me give my presentation. And honestly, you don't want to miss that. Okay?
I think most of Sugar House's listening presentations look the same.
Well, and most of our Park City are gonna look the same,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is anybody not having a visual. Because you're not setting yourself up to succeed at a high enough level. That's what I care about. Okay, so they can all look the same in Sugarhouse, and they can all look the same in Park City, and I'm okay with that. As long as you have a visual, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And they don't want to talk to you that much. So let's give them a visual. All right. So the other part of the visual I want to talk about is where else do you do a visual? When you're working with sellers, where else do you use visual?
Comps and pricing.
Comps and pricing, and so having a good-looking CMA is important. It reflects on you, okay? So make sure you have a good-looking one. That may mean having to like come up with a cover, binding, okay? Not just staple together, other pieces. Where else would you use a visual? Phoenix?
I mean, in like the process of getting to the appointment.
That's where I use it. The process of getting to the appointment. For me, it's the pre-listing. And so we're gonna take just a second. We're gonna get rid of the faces on the screen. I'm gonna minimize, I'm gonna minimize all the Zoom people for just a minute, and we're gonna look at a little
I'm
video.
gonna share the screen so they can see.
And they're gonna share the screen, so you'll get to see it. Okay, so let's put that on. I think you guys will see
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the rest of that email. So along with that video that comes, there also is a copy of my strategic marketing plan embedded. And there's also the seller's property disclosure embedded. And when I talk to my people, I talk to them about the fact that that's their homework assignment. I want them to go ahead and get that seller's property disclosure completed before we meet. Okay, now, not always do we get to meet, and I'm specifically thinking of my Park City group. Thank you, Michelle.
Do you want to show any of these documents attached or no?
No, we can send that to anybody. So specifically in Park City, a lot of your people are out of staters, and you're not gonna have them come into your office. You're not gonna go to their house. Is that fair? So again, having some other ways to do a visual is a good idea. Something like this video. So in the video, what stood out to you?
how nice that house was that you were in.
So let's talk about that. Good point, Caroline. Thank you. Model homes. That's all we did, is we went to one of our model homes that a builder has. I think we represent that builder, or maybe we did it Oakwood Homes, and I don't represent Oakwood, but I get their co-op buyers or co-op sellers from that, from them, so we have a relationship with them. But a model home, and are they happy to have you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Any videos that we do, we ought, not any, because we do a ton in a green room screen, but those that we do in a house are always in a model home. Because you're right, it shows beautifully, doesn't it? Okay, what else did you notice?
Super professional and scripted, but it didn't feel scripted.
Okay, very much scripted, yeah. We have a videographer and it's all written out, and we're just really reading off a teleprompter, like you were on TV. And you're just reading off of it, so, and it's all being videotaped, so if you screw up, they just start over and you just keep going. It's not a big deal.
There really wasn't a whole lot of information besides like, think about this before we meet. And that's one thing that I liked, is it's very directed to, we're gonna talk more about that, and you weren't giving away a whole lot of.
Thank you. And that's the reason. We want them to remember that they want to meet with us. There are some important things that are happening. How often do you go on a presentation or get a listing appointment where you're not the only person going? They're going to meet with some other agents. That ever happen? Yeah, it does. And so by doing a video where we kind of preface a few important points that we're going to talk about when we get there, they are less likely, if they're meeting with another agent before they meet with me, ready to sign with that agent because they haven't met with me and they know there's some stuff in there they want to talk about. Phoenix.
Well, I mean, you talked a little bit about like the visual already, but there's a big part of it where I think the visual starts from the moment they hear about the Stern team, right? And quite frankly, like, and I've had the same experience as you, like, I don't get asked if I can do it for less. And it's because by the time I get there, they're already sold on working with me. So when I say I charge 6%, there's no question. They're just like, okay, right? And I think the visual starts way before the actual presentation. And you can sell yourself as the agent that they're going to hire before you ever walk in the door.
Yeah, and back at you, because you do such a remarkable job of it, they really are happy to write reviews if you ask them to.
Yes.
It was 0. Okay, Adam.
I got 3 takeaways. One, those actors look way better on film. than in person, so.
They did have to dress up and everything, yeah.
Two, you guys, you talk about your stats personally on the Stern team quite a bit. How many agents do you actually have working on your team? Just for a boilerplate question. How many do you have in proximity?
Probably 20.
20?
Yeah, 20 agents. We've got admins.
All right, cool. The real big thing, other thing was, there's a little excitement in talking about an auction atmosphere or potential to get higher and over. And you touched on that a little bit, but just enough to like make it exciting for them. So fun.
They want to meet with you. That's the thing. Okay, other things that you saw, anything else? Okay, so do we have anybody else that's doing a pre-list video?
Oh wait, I like the I just remembered, I like the kind of actor who played the part of the client in that. So it's not just like.
Yeah, so you had a live person there, yeah. I can't remember, I think he's the builder. I do think that is the GTM builder. It's not somebody I know personally, but I think that's who he is. Okay, all right, so does anybody else do a pre-listing? Maybe not a video, but a pre-listing of some sort?
So I used to draw my pre-listing or the packet that's this right here. We used to drop this off of the house beforehand.
Okay,
We review that. Well, if you have any questions, we'll discuss that when we meet. And then I
you
would,
used to do that, why did you stop doing it?
well, because it's been so busy that we really haven't, I
Okay.
haven't done that. I guess.
So we need a system that you can do whether you're busy or not. So an emailed out is a real easy, right? It just gets emailed. I don't have to do anything. It's already pre-recorded. It's all embedded. It's all done. It's a system. We like systems, yes.
Do you need permission, like, to use that house that you did all the videoing?
Yes. Yeah, they were happy to do that. happy to do that. Okay, so where would you do a video? So I know for us, we, our lender, we use Mandy at Intercap Lending. And at Intercap, they have a videographer on staff, a green room, the teleprompter, they have everything. So that makes it really easy. It's part of our 33 touch. We actually do 52 touches a year. So our people hear from us virtually every week. About 2 videos a month are what they're getting as part of that. And those videos are just done in a green room there, and they're just on current topics. But you can go and videotape something like that, and then it's done for the year. That's a brand new one that we had to do after we got our numbers in January. But, you know, we had one the year before that was almost identical, but with new numbers on this year. I know that the South Valley Market Center of Keller Williams has a green room. They don't have a videographer, so you'd have to get a videographer, but they do have a green room for recording and everything. So if you're not using a lender that has that, you can call them and book, you know, an hour or half an hour in that room and bring your own videographer and do that. Where do we have ability to do it in Park City? Do you know? Any of you know?
You
Caroline?
can do it at the library, the one that on Park Avenue.
Okay.
They have a sound booth and they have a green screen and you can check out the equipment.
Oh, wonderful. There you go. Any other places in Park City that you can do that? Okay, so
Someone's
that's,
asking on Zoom, who is the video company you used?
they'd have to call Russ Fawcett or Emily and at the Sugar House office. I can't remember his name. I've met him, but I can't remember his name. But he is for hire, so you all could hire him on that video. On the videos we do in the green room, which are twice a month videos about current events, topics, that one, we use a videographer there. Annie?
I think that Purple Moss is doing videos now too, right?
Yeah, they are.
would probably be delighted to
Oh.
do that kind of thing.
Okay, so Purple Moss, great photographer. They make us look way better than we're really fun. Seriously, I love that about them. So Purple Moss would be another videographer that you can use.
Was that Marcus that filmed that for you? Remember old Marcus, the security guard? Sugar House, no?
Okay, so ours starts with visual right from the get-go. And that's what I wanted to point out to you, is that we recognize that 65% of the people are visual learners. We recognize we may not always be the only agent going. We may have competition. We want to do something that stands out. And we do that. We do lots of things that stand out. Probably these are things that you do. You know, when you go on a listing presentation or I go on a listing presentation, I get back to the office afterwards. Lots of times my presentation are not where they're signing that day. They are getting prepared to get ready to go on the market kind of thing. They immediately get a handwritten thank you note from me. I mean, you just do little things that always make sure you're standing out because you may not be the only person needing that. But I'll tell you, having this video, I think is the best reason why you have never, ever, ever seen a listing, and we do a lot of them every year, where we're offering less than 3% to a buyer's agent. And we're not cutting our commissions on our side either, but we're not cutting buyer's commissions. Are you having that problem up in Park City?
Not so much. I wanted to ask you, in this particular market, do you get more requests for, because they think it's gonna sell so fast, requests for reduction of commission?
I don't. I think there are more. I'd have to assume, Tom, that there are. I don't get them. I haven't seen them on Steam either, as a big complaint about it. But I have to assume there are, because as I look across the MLS, and it was really one of the agents in our Sugar House office who pointed it out to me and said, oh my gosh, you know, they're only paying 2%, 2.25, 2.5. And I said, you're kidding. So I did. The next time I did a CMA, I started scrolling through and I'm like, holy cow. Bad.
It's bad.
Horrible.
Yeah. And so I am bound and determined that I am unwilling to prostitute our industry.
Yeah.
I'm opposed to any of you choose to do that, just saying.
Well, I mean, we talked about it the other day in TV, but I made the comment that, I mean, you have these iBuyers and sellers are willing to pay 7 to 10% for convenience. So there's no reason you can't take a 6% listing. The only reason they're asking you to lower your commissions is because they're not seeing value.
And I don't know how much it's actually coming from agents that are coaching their clients to lower the BAC,
Yeah.
which is kind of sickening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know an office that coaches their agents to go on their presentations to take a smaller amount for the BAC.
So I think that if you are strong in your value proposition, and this is part of ours, my presentation is part of ours, then I don't run into that problem. And I don't participate in that problem. So, but that's, again, because I've always had visuals, always had visuals. Next month will be 50 years of having visuals. A lot of years having visuals. Okay, all right. So how many of you think you should put together a video or some sort of pre-listing get together?
Yeah.
Okay,
That'd be awesome.
and I do think that Shane is right, because I used to do it the same way you did, Shane. I used to bring a CD, it was never an 8-track. Could have been, but it wasn't. Okay, so a CD and a 2-liter bottle of Sprite and a microwave popcorn in a Stern Team bag, and I would deliver that to them beforehand because their homework was to watch that video. Popcorn and a movie on me. So I've always done something visual beforehand, but as Shane said, it gets hard. You know, we're doing hundreds of listings. We're doing last year 450 closings plus. It's hard to replicate that kind of system if you're doing that volume. If you're doing, 10 deals a year, you maybe could do that. Go on 20 appointments, you drop off 20, you get 10, whatever. But having it on a video is an email. It's so easy to do, okay? So you don't have to have your video done by next week. But I would encourage you to go, okay, master your presentation. Okay, once you've got your presentation, a visual of your presentation, you know what you're going to cover. I mean, Annie, you know what topics, marketing things that you like to focus on, as you saw in here. You don't have to focus on all of them by any means. Focus on 2 or 3, and really, as Phoenix pointed out, tease them with it. We're going to talk about it when we get together. Don't give them all the answers, but make them curious enough that they want to meet with you, so that you don't end up with appointments canceled or no shows. You can't do a video unless you have a presentation, because you're not good at your scripts and you don't know what to say if you don't have a visual presentation. The vast majority of realtors go out on appointments and wing it. They think your fabulous personality is gonna get you the listing. I'm not that fabulous. I need help, I need marketing, I need tools to be able to do that. But you won't be able to do your video until you have a presentation. How many in here have a visual presentation for their listing already? 10. Okay, 10 people. So about a third of what we've got.
What about like directing them to your website? I mean, I have the book as well, but I also say, hey, please check out my website, because on that I have beautiful homes I've sold, and I have the testimonials.
Right.
And it has a lot of information. Is that
So do
okay?
you tell them that, Mary Beth? Is that what you do, is you tell them to go to your website?
Well, I left my card, like the last presentation I had, I did have the booklet, I had my little cards. I said, here's my card, it's got my website on it. Please look this up, see some of the, see some of my work. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just.
So I don't think it's bad at all. I don't think it's bad at all. But I think it would be better. I think we could turn it up a notch. You notice on mine, I have embedded things, right?
Yeah.
If your website was embedded, to say the page that had either testimonials or fabulous houses.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Some people I've seen actually have video testimonials of their clients as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or you could put this book, like I have a flip book that I got the color for the neighborhoods, but you could flip book the listing presentation if you want
You
it.
could, you could.
Like, Kate does that. kind of stuff.
Yes, she does, and a great job of it too. And I think that you probably have to do that on the people that live in New York that you're not meeting with.
Yeah.
But on the people that if I live up in your valley and I'm going to be meeting with you, might they get something different because you really want them to want to meet with you beforehand? Right. Okay, so I don't know the answer, but I'll give you that to ponder on. Okay, and
Sorry, can you just remind me of the embedded things you have on there where the seller's disclosure?
seller's property disclosure, we have a video that's not embedded, but the video is there and they just click on the, the start button. And then the other thing is our marketing plan.
Okay.
But I agree with Mary Beth, because truthfully, I could have homes that I've sold. I could have endorsements, reviews, videoed or written, doesn't matter. You can take your 5 best reviews you've ever gotten, except for Phoenix. And you can get your 5 best reviews there, and then some houses. Don't put 1,000 reviews or 100 reviews, but take your 5 best, put them there. Okay? All right, so any questions that you have at this point? Any ahas that you've had?
Making a video.
Yeah.
Making a video, and where to get that done. Liz?
Also, like, don't overcomplicate it, right? Like, if you don't even have a listing presentation, like, this is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm gonna make a listing presentation, and then 2 of those pages are gonna go in my email.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna be what I do to start, and then it can get better and better as you get.
And once you've mastered your presentation, your visual presentation, then it's really easy to go do a video. Because what comes out of my mouth is so easy to put on here. I know what's important to them. And I've been in enough appointments now to know what's important to them. Okay, Phoenix.
Is your pre-listing or sorry, your strategic marketing plan that's embedded in the email, is that a simple copy and paste from the presentation? Or does that have similar language as we'll talk further in depth?
No, it's just a presentation.
Is
And
it just
somewhere it's
this?
been in here.
It's just this in PDF form,
Yeah.
basically?
100%.
Yeah, that's it.
Part of that.
That's it. Okay, Danny?
Aha moment, yeah, the listing presentation just helps organize everything I need, like everything I need.
It really does. I mean, for those who've been doing this a long time, when you get an appointment, there are lots of times that a seller wants to take you off on what I call bunny trails. They've got their own kind of agenda, and there's nothing wrong with going with them on those bunny trails. That's part of establishing a good rapport and all of that. But you want to always make sure you're bringing them back to what they need to accomplish, that goal, and your presentation causes that to happen. Page by page, it helps you and them stay on track so that they can reach their goal. And ultimately, that's all we do, is try to help people reach their goals. We make dreams happen.
Do you have a timeline goal of when you're sitting down with people? How long are you gonna be in their home?
Yeah, and you'll see that next week. It's not very long, actually.
So I forgot on the video, how was the legality of, we have done advertising KW Park City Color.
Right.
Where was that on yours? Was it in the video or was it in the?
It's definitely in the email.
Did you have, because I just saw the Stern team as your tax
Right.
title. And then your.
It says Keller Williams underneath that.
Says Keller Williams
Yeah,
underneath.
so we're very conscious of our brand rules. We get fined a lot if we don't.
So that's all you need.
We're a big
Just to have
target.
it in the tax.
Yeah, no, it
Someone
really,
said-
it really is.
Ilario, my aha is if I am already getting business without this, think of how many more listings I could get. How I could get, and how much more professional will I look?
I love that
Once
one.
I have a
Ilario.
visual.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Ilario, I love that one. That is a really good one. And he's absolutely right. His natural skills, maybe his history and what he's done before, he is already charismatic and getting a lot of business. If he got purposeful and he used the system, how much more could he get? Maybe a lot. Can't wait to hear it. Okay.
Any more ahas from Zoom people? I can unmute you if you want to speak instead of type.
Right?
Lee, I've got one question for you while we're waiting.
Yes,
So it's always a good idea in listing presentations or at some point to prep your seller for the potential of a price reduction, although the latest market doesn't trend that way.
Not much of a
But
conversation.
it's a
these days.
conversation there and it should be, it's important for me to communicate that. Does your listing presentation touch on what do we do if the home doesn't sell at whatever price? Do you talk about that up front in the presentation or after they?
It's not always part of the presentation, but it is often part of their questions. And next week when I do it, whoever ends up being my sellers, we can have that part of the conversation. And I'll show you exactly how I handle that.
Awesome.
I write it on the inside of what I leave behind, inside back cover what I leave behind. I mean, it's that much. I have a system of even where it goes.
Love it.
Okay, all right, so I've gotta let you all go because it's 1 o'clock and I will honor all of your time. Some of you have another class to go to. Want to thank all my Sugar House people for coming up and getting in. Feel free to walk through their office and see them. Want to thank all my Park City people for letting me bring a crowd, and I hope you are smart enough to go trade cards with people. From a referral point of view, thank you very much. And everybody bring a copy of your presentation next week.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lee.
My pleasure.
Oh, that's great,
Okay.